On a sunny afternoon, Emma, an 8-year-old girl with golden curls, held tightly to her mother's hand as they strolled through the bustling city streets. Her mother, Sarah, was a sharp-dressed woman in her mid-30s, exuding an air of sophistication and purpose. They were out shopping for Emma's upcoming birthday party, her excitement barely contained as they passed by colorful storefronts and lively street vendors. As they turned a corner, Emma's attention was drawn to a figure sitting quietly on the sidewalk. An elderly man, perhaps in his mid-80s, sat with a faded woolen blanket wrapped around his frail shoulders. His white beard was unkempt, and his eyes, though tired, held a spark of warmth and wisdom. A small cardboard sign rested in front of him. "Just looking for kindness."
"Mom, look!"
Emma exclaimed, tugging at Sarah's hand. Sarah hesitated, her gaze briefly landing on the man before quickly shifting away.
"Come on, Emma, we don't have time for this."
"But Mom, he looks hungry."
Emma said, her brow furrowing in concern. She pulled her mother closer to the man despite Sarah's resistance.
"Hello."
Emma said softly, crouching down to meet the man's eye level.
"Are you okay?"
The old man looked up, startled by the child's sweet voice. A gentle smile spread across his face.
"Hello, little one. I'm fine, just a bit tired."
Sarah sighed, her discomfort evident.
"Emma, let's go. We can't stop and talk to strangers."
"But he's not a stranger, Mom. He's just someone who needs help."
Emma replied with surprising conviction. The old man chuckled, his laughter a deep, comforting sound.
"You have a kind heart, young lady. My name is George. What's yours?"
"I'm Emma, and this is my mom."
"Sarah," she said, pointing upwards. Sarah offered a curt nod, her lips pressed into a thin line.
"We should really get going."
Emma ignored her mother's urgency and reached into her small backpack, pulling out a granola bar.
"Here, Mr. George. It's not much, but it's what I have."
George's hands trembled slightly as he accepted the granola bar.
"Thank you, Emma. That's very generous of you."
"Why are you sitting here all alone?"
Emma asked, her innocent eyes wide with curiosity. Sarah shifted uncomfortably, glancing at her watch.
"Emma, let's not pry. It's not polite."
George waved a dismissive hand, his smile never faltering.
"It's all right. She's just curious. Well, Emma, life didn't turn out the way I planned. I used to be a teacher, taught history for over 40 years. But after my wife passed away and my health declined, I couldn't keep up with the bills. One thing led to another, and here I am."
Emma's eyes filled with sadness.
"That's so unfair. You were a teacher. Teachers are important."
George chuckled again.
"Life has its ups and downs, my dear, but meeting kind people like you makes it a little brighter."
Sarah crossed her arms, her expression softening slightly as she listened to George's story.
"That's quite a life you've had,"
she said reluctantly. George nodded.
"It's not all bad. I've seen a lot of good in this world, too, like your daughter here. She's a shining example of it."
Emma beamed at the compliment, but her face soon turned serious.
"Mom, can we help him? Maybe he can come to my birthday party. We'll have lots of food, and he can have some too."
Sarah opened her mouth to protest, but stopped herself. She looked at George, then at her daughter's pleading face. For a moment, she was torn between her instincts and Emma's unwavering compassion.
"Mr. George,"
Sarah began, hesitantly.
"do you have a place to stay?"
George shook his head.
"Not really. I spend most nights at the shelter if there's space."
Sarah took a deep breath.
"Well, maybe we can do something about that. Emma's right. You shouldn't be out here like this."
George's eyes widened in surprise.
"That's very kind of you, ma'am, but I wouldn't want to impose."
It's not an imposition.
Sarah said, her tone firm.
We'll figure something out.
Emma clapped her hands in delight.
Yay, thank you, Mom.
Over the next few days, Sarah and Emma worked together to help George. They contacted local organizations and found him temporary housing. Sarah even used her network to connect him with old students who were more than willing to lend a hand. On Emma's birthday, George was the guest of honor. He arrived clean-shaven and wearing a new suit, his smile brighter than ever. As he joined the festivities, he gave Emma a small, wrapped gift, a well-worn book of poetry that had been his wife's favorite.
This is for you, Emma,
George said.
You've reminded me that kindness still exists in the world.
Emma hugged him tightly.
Thank you, Mr. George. You're my friend forever.
As the day ended and George prepared to leave, Sarah pulled him aside.
Thank you for teaching my daughter something I had forgotten, that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference.
George's eyes glistened with tears.
And thank you for reminding me that it's never too late to find hope.
As George walked away into the evening light, Emma and Sarah stood together, watching him disappear down the street. They both knew their lives had changed forever, bound by the unexpected bond they had formed with a kind old man on the sidewalk.